As a commentator, as anyone working in the media, we're lucky to do the job that we do. I think that you get emotionally invested in it, not because you're following any one of the particular teams, but you know what it means.
This year was probably the most open year that I've come into a league where I felt that picking a winner outright is always going to be difficult. I had my team that I thought would be, but it was always going to be difficult.
The teams that came up, I just knew it was going to be a stronger division for them this year. But I was expecting it to be competitive, and I think we totally got that.
For me, it was just harder to call this year, top and bottom.
When you cover this league, it's always about stories. And you get hard luck stories, but you also get stories of redemption. So you get those stories, but then you also get the new kids on the block, the teams that have come from nowhere. How far can they go?
It's phenomenal.
Salford's rise from the 8th tier to the cusp of the Football League had been well documented after Manchester United's class of '92 took over the club back in 2014. Messrs Scholes, Giggs, Butt and the Neville brothers have enjoyed 3 promotions in 4 years as their Football League dream edged closer after clinching the National League North trophy. But it would be a summer of change at the Peninsula Stadium.
I think Salford, the major thing for me, all of it, was that they had to get the right manager. And Graham Alexander, for me, was that right manager. When you sign players like Adam Rooney, you can't hide the fact they spent a lot of money.
I suppose it was the story that to many people announced that Salford were in the National League. It brought it to a national attention.
Adam Rooney's and Salford's promotion credentials were to be tested on the opening day of the season, when they welcomed a side with their own ambition to return to the top tiers. Leyton Orient arrived at the Peninsula Stadium with much of the same squad that ended the previous campaign, but with stability and a summer under the stewardship of Justin Edinburgh. It was difficult to tell who'd make their mark first.
Lloyd will give chase. Walker's in support. Lloyd with the ball in. Gatley! There's the only goal of the National League season. In it goes. Towards that back post, and it's in! Finally! And they're on level terms.
I was delighted with the opportunities we created. We played some real good football.
Yeah.
And we should have. By the time, if that should be a consolation goal for me. I think we should have scored at least 1 or 2 more. But as an opening game, we don't know what we're coming into, the level of the opposition, the league, and it's a good marker for us now to see where we go from here.
Credit to the players, they went to the end there, and I think they got their just rewards, because I think it would have been harsh on us if we hadn't come away from here today against a very good team with something. But I'm sure that everyone at home enjoyed the game.
I think you could just sense the first day that without a shadow of doubt, them teams are going to be up there.
Elsewhere, John Still was pried away from Dagenham and Redbridge by freshly relegated Barnet. Still has won promotion from this level more than any other manager, but would have hoped for a better start with the Bees. 3 losses and 2 draws in their first 5 games saw their campaign get off to a bumpy start. They won their final 2 games in August though. The last one saw Still run out 2-1 victors over his old Dagenham side.
To be honest with you, I'm comfortable with the way we're playing. I thought we played okay today. I think we get better and better at it. But what we do have to do, we have to make more of our opportunities to score goals.
In an odd twist of fate, Barnet's previous manager, Martin Allen, moved to fellow relegated side Chesterfield in the summer. He won this title with Barnet in 2014 and brought in a whole raft of new players looking to repeat that with the Spyrites. In came ex-West Ham striker Zavon Hines and former Celtic and West Brom frontman Marc-Antoine Fortuné as they won their opening 3 matches. Unfortunately, they followed those promising results with 6 straight defeats.
We couldn't have got any worse. Couldn't have got any worse. No, it was a very poor first half an hour. We had a lot of supporters here, and I thought they were remarkably patient with our team, and that level is not acceptable.
After lifting the National League South trophy on the final day of the 2018 season, Havant and Waterlooville will be playing at the highest level in their history. Led by former Bournemouth manager Lee Bradbury, life at this level wouldn't come easy. One win in their first 8 games proved many early predictions the club would struggle to adapt.
Every game's hard. You don't look at anyone and go, you know, if we're on it, we'll win that game. But every game it could go either way, and that's shown in a lot of results today as well.
Braintree Town achieved an unlikely promotion from the National League South after the Essex side finished 6th in the table. The Iron, managed by club legend Brad Quinton, returned to the 5th tier, but it was a rude awakening for the part-timers who remained winless in August. Jamie Fullerton's Halifax Town were the league's early pace-setters, with Wrexham showing promise under new manager Sam Ricketts. AFC Fylde, newcomers Harrogate Town and Leyton Orient, the only sides unbeaten in the opening month. Dagenham and Redbridge had replaced their old manager with the experienced Peter Taylor, but their financial issues off the pitch were showing in the league table. They joined Braintree Town without a single victory in the opening month. And we had our first managerial casualty, with Jay Saunders losing his job at Maidstone after only 4 games. It was certainly going to be a long season for them, among others. With Justin Edinburgh showing faith in much of the squad he inherited from last season, he was looking for that trust to be repaid. Macaulay Bond flourished under his leadership in the previous campaign, scoring 22 goals. And the opening few months proved to be prolific as he helped fire the O's to 6 wins out of 7 in September, scoring 6 in the process.
Macaulay Bond.
He ain't got all the way. He can go all the way.
I'm really proud of him. He's my little superstar.
His attitude is what impresses me.
Well, this is Charity. So my school's not far from here. Well, I lived in this house now for like 9 years. But my dad lived in Charity, just the back end of it. My mum lives literally 5 minutes up from here, so this whole kind of area just, well, my whole childhood. I got a call on a Tuesday afternoon when I was supposed to be going up to a place called Carden Park on tour Colchester. And when I got a call saying it's Leyton Orient, I was like, I don't know why, because ever since I've been younger, playing Orient, it's always been like there's nothing really to it, but it's always been a big game. But then when playing at Brisbane Road for Colchester, I don't know, there's always something about it. I enjoy playing there. And then when they said it's going to be Leyton Orient, I thought, you know what, let me do this. I need something different in my life now. So let's take a chance, and it's gone well for me. Oh, this one is my Zimbabwe international debut shirt. I was training one morning and got called in the office by the receptionist. I said, you've been called up by Zimbabwe. I was like, okay, but they want you to fly out to Morocco in 3 days. So I was like, that's all happened so quick. So I had to get home, get sorted and that, and it was exciting. Got out there, flew with a few boys from England, got there and trained them for the week, for the game, come to the game and saw I was starting. I was like, right. But I started actually in centre midfield, so it's a bit of a different role for me. I thought, why not? If I'm gonna play, I don't care where I play. I'll play anyway as long as I'm playing. And to go on and score like 13, 19 minutes in against a team like that full of Premier League players who have been and done it was absolutely mental. And the stadium went mad. I had a few questions saying, "You sure you're not Moroccan?" Because the team I was on, like you blended more with the Moroccan team. I was like, "No, I'm sure." But it was a really good experience, and I'll never forget it. I think the main part of the season would be promotion. A chance to be in the Championship a few years ago, like now to be in the Conference. I think everyone's got that big expectation of Orient to go and do well, and we have ourselves. We all want the one thing is to get back in the Football League. The way we do it is going to be hard, but I think this season we've got the players and enough quality and the backing from the club and the staff to go and do it.
We've got to concentrate his job here for this season, and then, you know, if he continues to do that, hopefully we grow with him. If not, then you know, we happily say to him that, you know, the opportunity comes along that he'll leave the club. But if we can continue what we're doing, then hopefully we can grow with him.
I'd like to say in 5 years' time, playing the Championship. That's where my goal is to be. Because I'm not going to go sit here and say, yeah, I want to be a Premier League player. Obviously, everyone wants to be a Premier League player. You think you've got to be realistic with yourself in football nowadays. Like, you can't go and... Because if I go and say now, I'm going to be a Premier League player, and in 5 years' time I'm not there, that's just me saying I've not achieved it. So for me, I want to say, hopefully I can be great in the Championship, and if I get a chance to go and play in the Premier League, that's me with a bonus, so that's what I see.
Halifax's decent start to the season was derailed in September. That would lead to a run of 12 games without a win. 7 points from a possible 36 made dire reading for a club who narrowly staved off relegation last year. Many feared it would be another nervy campaign. Tim Flower's move up to management at Solihull Moors, after previously being assistant to Mark Yates, was proving an inspired decision by the Moors board. Their good run to the end of last season continued into the new and finished September with 4 straight wins inside the playoff places. Dover, meanwhile, were led to 5th, 6th and 8th place finishes under manager Chris Kinnear. But they had a disastrous start to this campaign, with just 1 win up until the end of September, and it posed the question whether it was time for a change at Crabble. With Dover 5 points clear of safety and showing real signs of struggle, the board decided Kinnear's time at the club had come to an end. 83 days shy of 1,000 games in management. Braintree Town, Dagenham and Redbridge, alongside Havant and Waterlooville, were all having poor starts, so it was no surprise they surrounded Dover in the bottom 4. Salford, meanwhile, were a point clear at the top of the table, heading into October. There was only one other side with 9 wins on the board. Oddly, that was Solihull Moors, who were real relegation favourites before the start of the season. Leyton Orient and Harrogate also had good starts, with just a single defeat between them. And after the break, we pay a visit to the leafy town of Harrogate that the England manager calls home, and where a father and son operation were taking the National League by storm.
People forget that this level of football at the National League, you're talking about people who could not be able to pay their mortgage if they don't get paid. And I think we were seeing that on the pitch. There was definitely the effects of that. You know, the American consortium that have come in with Tim Howard, it's a bit of a rescue act, really.
I think it helps that they're in London. I think there's been a lot of talk about Dagenham over the last few years. Tim will obviously have done his homework. I spoke to people around the London area. He was there and he'd been in and around it. So I think for them to take over, I think they could see it as a fantastic opportunity.
I respect any player that's earned a fantastic living, played at the highest level, and maybe wants to go in a little bit deeper into the National League and try and find that club to stabilise and take them forward.
He was on our knees when they came in.
American owners buying a near London club. Great news.
It saved us, and they've got a feel-good factor back around the club as well.
We have something that we feel like we can impact from the ground up.
With Dagenham falling on hard times financially, Peter Freund, who is our principal owner, he just said to me, this is a no-brainer. We've got to get in there and revitalize it.
What we saw here was an opportunity to come over and take some of our savvy that we think we have in the United States and apply it here.
This was something I think we saw that we could come in and, like, as Peter said, make an impact. We could do some things, and that's what we're excited about, is to kind of walk around here every time we're here, talk to the supporters, and take action on the things that, you know, can help us on the pitch and around the grounds. Tim first got involved with us in Memphis with the soccer team there, and then this opportunity, you know, sort of popped up on us, and, you know, it was sort of a natural to bring him, you know, in on it.
You know, I've been back home in the States playing for a couple of years now, and my time playing is soon to come to an end, and I want to do other things. And ownership is something that I thought would be something I'd enjoy. Would be something difficult, of course, but I didn't really know how I would get into that. I met Peter. We've hit it off from day one. We have a lot of the same visions, and I have so much experience in the game that for me it's a no-brainer to kind of give back and use some of that to help cultivate a football club.
And your paths crossed before?
Not until about a year and a half ago. Obviously, he owns the baseball team there in Memphis, and I live in Memphis. That's my home. And so by mutual friends, we were put together and we chatted, and the rest is history.
Our priority is to get this club back to the English Football League, and if we have that supporter base and we have a London location and we have a beautiful ground, really the sky's the limit on what we can do.
From my end, where I sit with our ownership group, it's about working with Peter Taylor, who's a brilliant manager who I've known for years, working with him to see how we can best facilitate the squad to push us up the table. That's what any football club up and down the country wants, is to win football matches. Nothing will be built overnight, we know that, but with the right amount of investment and right amount of commitment, most importantly, we see things turning.
The Daggers ended a run of 5 straight defeats with an impressive victory over a high-flying Harrogate in October. Peter Taylor's side ended the month strongly, winning 6 out of 7 games, propelling them out of the bottom 4. Meanwhile, Dover's search for a new manager came to an end when they prized Andy Hessenthaler away from Eastleigh. Hessenthaler had managed at Crabble before. However, the timing seemed strange as he left Eastleigh in a healthy position just outside the playoffs for rock-bottom Dover, who at this time in the previous campaign were fighting for top spot. Ben Strevens would step up to take charge of the Spitfires. One manager in and another out of the door. Braintree's poor start to the campaign led Brad Quinton to leave his post. As boss of the club, he'd appeared more than 500 times for as a player. One win in their opening 15 games made for very bad reading early on for the Iron. Hakan Hayrettin returned to the club he'd managed in 2017. Throughout October and November, Chesterfield would go on an incredible run of 9 straight draws. But thankfully for manager Martin Allen, that ended with a 2-0 victory over Salford City. Ebbsfleet had made the decision to part company with Daryl McMahon on the 7th of November after only 2 wins in 12 games. But the change spurred a reaction as they didn't see another defeat until December. It was tight in the battle for top spot, only 6 points separated first and fourth in a topsy-turvy tussle for supremacy. Like so many clubs before them, Chesterfield weren't finding life outside the Football League easy. By the end of November, they were in the bottom 4. Things hadn't picked up much for Dover, but Havant and Waterlooville found some form and had forced themselves out of the relegation places going into Christmas.
Well, this is the day that I gloated. They were my outside tip, and to be honest, I thought they had a phenomenal season.
What we saw from Harrogate this season was, in my view, the best football I saw all season in the National League. It was fantastic to watch.
Harrogate is a beautiful spa town. A lot of visitors come into Harrogate to go to Betty's, tea shops, amongst other many delis and restaurants, but it wasn't known for its sport. Football wasn't really on the map, and therefore it wasn't trendy, it wasn't a fashionable place to come and watch a game. The first few years were a big struggle. The pitch was rock hard, there was no stand. It was broken a bit in terms of the terracing, but there was no roof on it. After my second season in management, the chairman, Bill Fotherby, pulled me to one side and said that there's 2 things that could happen here. Either we resign from this level of football and went 2 leagues below to make it viable, or there'd be a new owner. He said, I can't see many people being interested. How about your dad? Of which I did feel a little bit sick at the time.
Bill asked me if I was interested, and to be honest, I never thought for 1 minute I'd get involved in football as a business. But thought about it, and we thought, well, let's have a go at it. It was, if we get it wrong, we get it wrong together.
We relayed the pitch, and we had a 3G pitch. And then last season we became a full-time team and we were promoted. It was the most emotional place I've ever been in football.
I mean, we're living a dream now. We are in a dream because things are bubbling. We've done well recently. This has taken me by surprise this year, this start.
Plenty of drama in the first few games, but what it did give us was a lot of belief. We've got a real good atmosphere within the club because we run it on values, and the strong values of honesty.
I know myself, at 30, sometimes you need a breather. That's all there is to it.
It's worked, I think, because we've both got separate jobs. I look after the business side, he worries about the football. You do get tense when things don't quite work out, but we've seemed to come through. And we've never really had an issue of his role, my role, relationship. It's really good to have a pint and have a chat.
He wouldn't have got the pint, by the way, if they got
Thank you for that. I respect him and I like him, and I think he's a fair man, and I think that's why he's done well in business, because he's generous, but he says the truth.
On it, press.
You do shouts, you're only here because your dad, but in all honesty, I think Bill Fotherby saw something in me, and if we go to League 2, then we've achieved a legacy.
While Harrogate were enjoying their debut season, Wrexham were desperately trying to end their 11-year stay at this level. And the signs looked good. They'd made one of their best starts to a campaign in years, but a familiar theme returned to haunt the Welsh side.
Oh no, not again.
I'd heard rumblings, and then in the morning I read the statement saying that Sam Ricketts had been asked not to attend the game.
Obviously it's a strange one, I've never been involved in a situation like that, but just got a phone call off the
chairman, so to speak, at the club and explain what was going on. And then obviously a phone call off the manager himself, and then spoke to Graham, obviously the assistant who's taking the game. So that was it really, and just obviously relayed it to the lads.
I've been in this game a long time, and you know, I think I did this 3 times at Wigan, and you know, it's just part and parcel of the job.
We've seen this now happen to them on a few occasions where their manager, when they're doing well, has been taken away from them by a football league club partway through the season. And when you lose that person just when things are going well, that's football, people might say, but it must still really rankle with them.
It was supposed to be a fresh start for Hartlepool, with a new owner in Raj Singh and a young manager in Matthew Bates. Things started well, with just 2 losses by mid-October. But they were in woeful form by the start of December. A run of 7 straight defeats for the Pools broke the Monkeys' back, and Bates was gone after 9 months in charge. Richard Money then came in to steer the ship, but the former Cambridge United boss was gone himself after just 43 days. And Director of Football Craig Hignett took over in another turbulent period for the club. The league's most successful manager, John Still, who'd achieved promotion from this level 3 times, took the decision to retire from football as he left his post at Barnet. Still would provide the mother of all turnarounds, though, as by January he was back in the dugout with his first club, Maidstone United. Martin Allen's reign at Chesterfield came to an end by the 27th of December. 4 wins all season, with 3 of those coming from the opening month, gave the board no choice but to re-evaluate the club's direction. Former manager John Sheridan was appointed in the hope the new year could bring a new Chesterfield. Despite a run of 20 games without defeat, Salford were on a run of 3 losses going into their game against Barrow in December. Graham Alexander's side desperate to end their year on a high.
Salford seeking to stop the rot and reignite their title challenge. Hindle goes on, and the feeling for handball is given. The ball placed by Jacob Blythe, who hasn't scored yet for Barrow. He has now. The Bluebirds in front. Mafuta with the challenge there, which was not good at all. Straight red. Green with the shots. Oh! Brilliant! And it rolls in for Agustin. He hits it from range! Oh, that's absolutely fantastic! Can Salford hit back for a second time? And there could be a chance for Torre! They've hit back immediately! Kay's crossed, brilliant ball! A winner! Oh my word! The last minute of added time! And surely this time, there's no coming back for Salford today! And there it is! 4 defeats in a row now with a title-chasing Amis. Barrow, 7 matches unbeaten in the National League.
Salford's slump allowed Leyton Orient to continue their promotion charge. January would prove a difficult month, though, as they saw 10 games pass with only 3 wins. Despite Wrexham's managerial woes, they were still second, 4 points from top spot under the stewardship of caretaker boss Graham Barrow. Aldershot were having a torrid time of it at the wrong end of the table. 3 points taken from a possible 27, and the new year was not going to get any better for the Shots. Dagenham and Redbridge's season was looking up the table, though. They went 7 games unbeaten, with 6 of those wins staving off a fear of relegation, at least for now. After the break, we count down to the incredible playoffs, but stay tuned for the thrills and spills of a title race between Leyton Orient, Salford and Solihull, making it the tightest run to the finish line in years.
He fascinates me, Danny Rowe, because I've watched him live on several occasions now for BT Sport on live games. He hasn't scored in any of them.
He's not quick. He doesn't track back. But I'll tell you one thing, you give him the ball at feet and he scores goals.
I think with Danny, you just can't argue with his goal-scoring record. It is just absolutely phenomenal.
He's very unassuming, he's very quiet, he's very laid back. A lot of people looking at football, especially at this level, will look at what they can't do. I think what you've got to do is embrace what he can do.
It was a long road really. I was at United as a young kid and I support Man United, so it was a great thing for me. So I was released at 16 and didn't do good for my confidence and stuff, so at that point I kind of fell out the game. I weren't actually playing for about a year, and then different people had asked me to play locally for one of the teams. I started doing that and started to enjoy playing again, and from there I kind of started to go up and up, end up at Fleetwood Town. I was released from Fleetwood when I was 22, I think I was. Ended up at Lincoln for a season and then came to Fylde.
In the four years or so we've had him here, he scored over 40 goals a season, which is phenomenal. He rarely celebrates his goals. He sees it as his responsibility, his job within the team.
I think I'm playing quite well. Scored quite a few throughout the season, so people would think it's kind of pressure, to be honest. But I go into games myself confident that I'm going to score. If we come away and we haven't won, obviously I'm disappointed. If I haven't scored, I'm disappointed.
Sometimes he'll be a passenger in games. There'll be nothing to show from him, and then he'll score. His body language sometimes will say that he's not overly fussed. He doesn't look like he works hard enough. There's lots of it, but that's also his strength in the fact that when he gets on a goal, he's so composed. We definitely wouldn't change him. Hopefully he can continue to keep scoring the goals as he has done over the past 4 or 5 years.
It'd be the biggest achievement in my career to win promotion from this league. I've won promotion before when I was at Fleetwood. You see the celebrations that they had, and obviously you kind of look at that and think you'd want it again. I've done well here, the club have been good with me and stuff, but I believe I need to play in the Football League, and that's what I kind of want to do.
Despite Rowe's potency in front of goal, he and Fylde just couldn't match Leyton Orient, where Justin Edinburgh's side ran out 2-0 victors in March. That sent them top of the National League table, with 2 games in hand over title rivals Solihull and Salford. There was shock at Sutton in mid-March when their manager Paul Doswell took the decision to step away from the club, albeit temporarily due to personal reasons. Doswell had been at the Surrey side for 11 years, longer than any serving manager in the top 5 tiers. But the hiatus became permanent, with Ian Baird finishing the campaign in charge of the U's. Gateshead's future as a football club was thrown into serious doubt when owner Dr. Rangan Varghese put the club up for sale in March. Doubt became disarray in the northeast when the local council kicked the club out of their stadium after unpaid debts in a dramatic month for the club. Gateshead would fulfil their home fixtures at the Gateshead International Stadium, but they would only taste victory once from March until the end of the season. Barnet had the high of reaching the FA Cup 4th round, but the lows of languishing in the bottom half of the table for much of the season. A good run of 8 games without defeat between March and April cemented their 5th tier status. And Chesterfield, under John Sheridan, would go on a 7-match unbeaten run, winning 4 of those, underlining just how strong they could be for next season.
I think anyone who meets Tim Flowers walks away thinking, what a nice guy.
It was great to see Chris Sutton doing that interview with Tim Flowers, and it was a real nice insight into Tim Flowers, the man, and Tim Flowers, the manager.
Tim,
hello,
great to see you again.
You too.
My old teammate, yeah, you're looking well.
That's very kind of you. So are you?
1, 2, 3. Well, you're going great guns, aren't you? You've got a chance now, you feel?
Listen, we set out not to get relegated. That was the call. Obviously, we ain't going to get relegated, but we got ourselves in an unbelievable position with 12 to go. Don't think so many people would have given us a prayer of being there. It's tight. There's 5, 6, 7 clubs still probably think they've got a chance of nicking it, and it could be a blanket finish. There's a lot of teams, very similar goals, very similar points.
Oh, you've got a good run in though, haven't you?
We have on paper. 'Cause, I mean, listen, this time last year we were in the bottom 4 and we were going away and we were just trying to throw punches to get a draw or whatever it took to get the scoreboard ticking, and we've got 4 of the bottom 5 at home. They're under pressure to win. We've just got to take it as it comes and try and get over the line as best we can.
And what's your involvement today? I see you've got your little pamphlet there.
Yeah, there's just a few set pieces, etc., because we're our style is, as almost probably 95% of the teams in the National League are set play dependent. They like to get the ball forward, usually to a target man, your sort of physique. They like to get it up there, support it, get on the second balls, play high up the pitch. And we're no different. We've sort of tried to recruit with that style in mind. We don't want to be easy to play against. Last year, before Christmas, it was, you know, people would rock up, tickle our tummy and go home with 3 points, and wanted to try and get out of that. It ain't nice to watch, and we wanted to try and be a bit more aggressive, stand up for ourselves a bit more, and we've got better. I don't think anyone would have expected Solihull to be where they are right now. Everyone thinks we're going to fall away. I don't see us crumbling, if I'm honest. I don't see us crumbling.
Going into this run in now, there's not the pressure which there is at Leyton Orient and Wrexham and your Salfords, is there?
Yeah, there will be definitely a lot more pressure on those guys than there is us. And that's part of playing for big clubs with a big fan base. Then it's relevant.
Do you think you'll have the bottle?
Don't talk to me about a bottle. So finishing the playoffs would be a monumental achievement from where we came from. With 12 games to go, where we are in the league now, and me being like I am, I'm demanding more. I think for the sake of 12 games now, don't die wandering, you know. If we can win over half of those, we're going to be in with a shout. So we'll have to wait and see.
By the end of March, it looked ominous for all the sides in the bottom four. Aldershot couldn't buy a win at home. They had only 2 victories in a run of 22 games, and both of those were away fixtures. Dover's season, despite having a horrific start, looked like they would live to fight another campaign in the 5th tier. And Boreham Wood, a side who'd reached the promotion final a year ago, were just happy to be out of the relegation picture. It was incredibly tight at the summit of the league, with Leyton Orient only 2 points ahead of 3rd place Solihull Moors. Wrexham was still in the title conversations too, with Brian Hughes, their 3rd manager of the season, steadying the ship going into the final month. Maidstone United and Braintree Town had relegation confirmed in early April. Salford City provided the killer blow to the Stones' slim hopes for survival as their 2-year stay at this level ended. Braintree, on the other hand, went out in a blaze of glory, winning 3 of their last 4 games. Aldershot Town's time in the 5th tier was over too. A 1-1 draw with Hartlepool sealed their fate on a sad day for manager Gary Waddock, who'd led the Shots to the league title just over a decade ago. The Shots would go out fighting though. Their 2-0 victory over Havant and Waterlooville on the penultimate weekend meant Lee Bradbury's men joined them in dropping out of the league. So, with relegation confirmed, all eyes were on who would lift the title. On the final day of the season, it was Leyton Orient who had the best chance, with just a point required to reach the Football League. And after a sedate affair at Brisbane Road, their 2-year wait for a return to the Football League was over.
Champions! Leyton Orient are promoted!
The moment where all the fans on the pitch at the end, it was one of them moments where you think, wow, a team of where they were, look where they are now.
To me, that shows a title-winning side. To me, that shows real bottle, real character.
The pressure was on them. They stood up and they got on with it. I'm absolutely delighted for the club. It's a fantastic football club.
Justin Edinburgh was around 5 months old the last time Leyton Orient won a league title.
This is the first time I've won a title, so this has to go down as the best. This is a big club. It's been in the doldrums for a little while now, and I've got the potential, you know, hopefully we can go and build on from now.
This group is unbelievable. We're all so close with the staff, everyone, so look, it's special.
Macca, you've won the title. How does it feel? Macca's out on Sunday. Macca's out on Sunday. Macca's out on Sunday. I can't say it. It's the worst interview ever done on BT Sport.
A playoff spot was secured by Ben Strevens Eastleigh in a remarkable job for the young Spitfires manager. And Simon Weaver's Harrogate side clinched a top 7 finish too in their first season at this level. It wasn't a scintillating finish though. 3 defeats in their final 4 games, a disappointing way to end the regular season, but they went into the playoffs with hope. After the break...
It's brilliant. It's a real energy rush.
They just had a real buzz about them, like there was confidence.
But it was just like, wow.
I just thought they'd be shot.
Well, your heart's beating probably just as much as the players.
Anytime a cross went in, you just felt like this.
It was a real reversal to what had happened to Fylde the previous season in the playoff eliminator against Boreham Wood when they were away from home. They conceded 2 early goals themselves in that match, and the damage was done. They did get back into it, but they couldn't recover the situation, and it was the complete reversal. And it showed to me a team that had learned from their mistakes.
I thought this time they just came with a desire to really get out the traps, really go after Harrogate, and they've done that.
That's a good head inside, and there's the opener. Finished from close range by Ryan Crowsdale. Rowe decides to have a go from a long way out. It was awkward for the keeper, and it's a tap-in! It's Andy Bond for Fylde. Pulis looking to get on the end of it, he has, and there's a challenge, and it's a penalty.
Had they scored then, going into the start of the second half, I think they could really have built up a head of steam.
It's a pressure penalty, and it's a save. Big stop by Jay Lynch.
I think Fylde deserved to go through in the end, but the second half was an excellent game of football.
Has to be urgency about Harrogate here. And Kitching with the header, and it's been turned in. It's a lifeline for Harrogate. Bradley on the turn, and there's the shot, and that'll do it. Fylde can keep dreaming of the Football League. Dave Challoner's side through to the last 4.
Delighted to win. Playoff football can bring anything. It's always going to be tense and edgy. And although we've had chances and come out winners, the game, as I thought, could have gone either way.
Most people going into that would have looked at Eastleigh, the amount of goals that they've conceded. Home advantage for Wrexham. Surely they've got to edge this, haven't they?
I actually said on the night that I fancied Eastleigh to win. They just had something about them. I wouldn't have called it the day before. They just had a real buzz about them.
Wrexham had 2 cleared off the line. They hit the crossbar twice, and they had a pretty controversial disallowed goal.
The keeper's come a long way, and there's dropped it, and it's over. No, it won't count.
And this is the playoffs. This is why we love them. It's just the drama, the unpredictability of it.
Holland hits it on the volley! Oh, what a stunner!
I mean, I screamed down the microphone, didn't I? No, I don't tend to do that really, but it was just like, wow, it was just an unbelievable goal.
A special goal in a huge game!
For them not to win that game, I think must have been so frustrating, so disappointing. You could feel the sense of anticlimax at the racecourse.
It's all been built on team spirit, togetherness, and we've gone under the radar. We were joking about a few weeks ago, you showed the top 6, you didn't show down to 7.
Going into the game, Solihull are probably the favourites because we're not convinced that Fylde can deal with the aerial threat. We're not convinced that Fylde can deal with the physicality of Solihull. That was the big talking point. That was where people saw that the game would be won and lost. And we were wrong.
The fear of failure, the relief of victory. Playoff football is brutal, but brilliant.
I saw a performance from Fylde that they had to dig in deep, and they didn't do that for the first 20 minutes against Boreham Wood last season, and they did that against Solihull Moors.
Solihull had started the better with the more intent, but it was a great finish from Philliskirk.
Bonds done well. Philliskirk with the shot! And what a goal that is for Fylde! The perfect start for the visitors. Carter swung a boot, Clinched did 2! And Yusuf, great double save!
You need your goalkeeper to have a great game, and Jay did that fantastically well.
I think they've kind of thought, look, we're quite happy, we'll take what you're giving us, we'll take your long balls, we'll do that, and we'll try and hit in the counter-attack.
Burt's cross into the middle. Daly couldn't get it clear. Oh, it's off the post. Oh, so close. Is it just going to be one of those days for Tim Flower's Solihull? Fylde are going to Wembley. Dave Challoner's side have done it. Solihull's season ends here. Tough to take. for Tim Flowers and his players.
It's a phenomenal achievement to get me where we got, but you also got to recognise that we're not there yet. We've got another real big hurdle to get over. So we'll enjoy it. Listen, we spoke before the game about going to Wembley in the trophy final. To do it once in your lifetime is an achievement. To do it, have an opportunity to do it twice in a week is going to be amazing.
Two clubs who've never played at Wembley, Salford and Eastleigh, are seeking a first ever Football League promotion. The stakes could hardly be higher. Dreams will be made and shattered.
Overall, it was just a really, really exciting game of football. And credit to Salford, they showed great character.
They were absolutely exceptional, Eastleigh. They travel all the way to North Wales to play Wrexham. They get taken to extra time. Then on the bus on the way home from Wrexham, a player had come off injured, Joey Jones, his ankle balloons up. So this whole squad have to go to A&E with him. And then they have to travel north again. And then they play Salford and they get taken to extra time again.
The pressure, pain and pleasure of the playoffs makes them unmissable.
Ben Strevens talked about, look, we're just going to go in and have a right go and see where it takes us.
Which way this is going to go is anybody's guess.
Salford really needed that goal when it came, just before half-time.
Toure floats it in again and Piagiani scores for Salford. It's him again.
If Eastleigh were going to win the playoffs, they needed at least one big performance. And then we saw with McCallum, fantastic header.
And McCallum's header in! The top scorer has done the business again for the Spitfires.
The nervous energy, like any time a cross went in, you just felt like this.
Oh, and Winter! Great save! Brilliant stop by Neil.
And it just went over the bar. Oh, he just saved it.
It was awkward for the keeper. Oh, and it's just off the line by Winter.
It was so tense, so dramatic and so engaging.
Nothing to separate Salford and Eastleigh after 90 minutes, so this playoff semi-final will go to extra time.
Eastleigh just seemed to have got stronger and stronger, and I just could not believe the energy levels they had.
Into the box it goes, the flick on off the post.
I don't think many people would disagree with me when I say that they looked the fresher at the end of extra time.
I just thought they'd blow up. I was wrong again.
Oh, that's it! No, it's not. It's just wide. Goodness me.
Then when it went to penalties and he misses that first one, you think it's not going to be Salford's time.
It is Rooney. Oh, and he's way off target.
And then all of a sudden the pressure's back on Eastleigh.
Matthews. Oh, saved! 2-2 in the shootout.
It's the best way to go out, but a horrible way to go out.
It's never nice missing penalties to decide, but what a save from Chris Neal. It was a fantastic save.
There's some in the Peninsula Stadium here that can barely look. Zabrowski. Salford have done it! They're going to Wembley for the first time in their history.
Eastleigh, I felt really sorry for them.
The wave of emotion, the release of emotion, people in tears, people on the pitch. You know, it's people who've won Champions League titles in the crowd in tears. You know, that tells you what this means to this football club and any football club that gets promoted from this level.
What a wave of emotion! Only football can do this to us! Salford and Fylde, two clubs who've never graced the Football League. Both are chasing a dream.
It's the right final, in my opinion, because I felt that Fylde were the best team in the playoffs, and I just think Salford, they deserve this opportunity.
Wembley in May. This is where and when so many of the prizes are handed out, and they don't come much more precious or sought after than a place in the Football League.
I think it's nice now for the Football League to have a new club coming in.
The class of 92 are here.
I've got to say we don't want penalties today. That 10 minutes last week was probably the worst 10 minutes I've had in football. I was sat next to Nicky and
It makes it extra special. A club's going to be experiencing the Football League for the very first time in their history.
I could give you arguments for one, I could give you arguments for the other. But at the end of the day, I generally can't split them.
So 90 minutes, possibly more, to decide which of these clubs plays in the Football League next season.
I mean, this is a real concern for Dave Challoner and Luke Burkdown.
Well, could this be an early blow to fire? Floated in by Redmond. Oh, and there's a big chance. And it's in. A mistake at the back. And it's been seized upon by Diaz-Arouet. 7th minute of the second half. Salford knocking on the door somewhat here at Wembley as they seek a second. It's in! It's a second! It's Piergiani for Salford!
Can't say how big this goal is now in the context of this massive, massive game.
It's a long way back now for Fylde. Oh, it's in! Salford City are now so close to the Football League, they can almost reach out and touch it. Promoted, Salford City are going up. A Football League club for the first time in their history. A moment 79 years in the making. Sheer joy.
Can't describe it. Score in front of my friends and family there at Wembley. It's an incredible feeling, and fair play to all the boys. Fylde are a tough side to play, and we dug in really well today, and yeah, we deserve that win.
There's been some exceptional performances all year round, but every single one of these lads have had a massive contribution to going up, and obviously we're absolutely delighted and made up, and obviously let the party start now.
I think there's a lot of players who aren't here today, the managers who aren't here today, who've done a lot over this last 5 years. 4 promotions in 5 years. We said we'd do it in 8, and that was we thought quite aggressive. But once we got on the momentum and the roll, we just thought, right, let's go for it. And it's tough, but we've done it, and we're so proud and we're so delighted. I mean, we had 180 fans 5 years ago, and today we've got a few thousand here, so it's amazing.
Salford City are winners of the 2019 National League Promotion Final.
So congratulations to Salford City, who bring the curtain down on another memorable Vanarama National League campaign. They join champions Leyton Orient in promotion to the Football League. But with every winner, there is a loser. And for AFC Fylde, they'll have their chance again next season. From myself, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in 3 months' time.